Good morning, afternoon, evening, from wherever you are listening. Welcome to the Break Evens podcast. My name is Corey, and with me, as always, I'm Jack.
G'day, how are we?
So, before we get into everything, just a reminder that this podcast will be uploaded to YouTube at Break Evens, and you can find us on Twitter at Break Evens Pod. So, we sent a tweet out last night saying that we weren't able to record last night, so this is going to be delayed by a day. So, we just apologise to everyone for that, but nothing's changed. We'll still be going back to Wednesday recording, Thursday upload. So it's just this week. A couple of things got in the way, so that's okay. We're still here, still alive. So
We're barely breathing.
yeah, that's it. We'd just like to thank everyone for their ongoing support, and those watching on YouTube and those listening on Apple Podcasts. We really appreciate it. And if you're on YouTube, drop a like or a comment or subscribe. It will really help us out, and hopefully we can help a few more people out. The more we get out there as a brand. So today we will be discussing Port, the Tigers, Saints, Swans, Dogs, and Eagles in our third part of our team reviews and our last part of the team reviews, Jack. So,
And the best team's coming up, so what can I say?
yeah, this is going to be a 9-hour podcast because Jack's going over his Tigers.
Yeah.
But yeah, last one of the team reviews, and then I'll let everyone know, including Jack. Jack doesn't know, but I'll let everyone know at the end what's going to happen in the next couple of weeks. So,
Interesting.
I've got Port, so I'll go first, Jack. I think they're going to finish fourth. Reason being, I tipped them to win the premiership last year, but I was a bit off with that. But I reckon they'll be up there again. So we'll see how we go. So as always, we'll do Jack's favourite method. We'll go defenders through to the rest. So got to start off with Dan Houston at 467k defender. Average 86 last season. Everyone tipped him to be a breakout with a possible new role.
He showed it in the first few weeks.
Yeah, he played that role first few weeks, and then I think he kept getting just a few injuries and niggles, and then they put him back to the halfback or on the wing. So the end of the season wasn't the best for him. Funny enough, he's tipped again, Jack, to go into the midfield and get more midfield time.
I was going to say that, more centre bounces for him.
Yep. So that's what every player is doing at the moment. I think I saw something on him. I'm just trying to get it up. Or I might have just been seeing shit. No, I was seeing shit. All right. I thought I had an article on him or something. I might have forgot, but yeah, he's tipped to go into the midfield.
I saw that this morning.
So probably not a pick for me. Like he's a good kick most of the time, makes the right decision. But at 467k, we've already spoken about.
It's an awkward price.
Yeah, it's an awkward price, and we already have Sicily around that price. And
how?
Moving on, and Sicily's been tearing it up and has looking like a decent selection down back if you have the balls. So Dan Houston, a no for me.
It's a risky one, that's for sure.
It is, but if given the right role and doesn't get injured, I think you could pick him up mid-season as a good pod. Apart from that, there's not really anyone else I want to speak about. Alir, I don't see him being a selection, just draft. You might think differently.
You talking about the rookie?
No, Ali.
No. Are you going to mention the rookie at all?
Yes, yeah.
The
Yeah.
defensive mid?
Yeah, I'll just go on more like promos and stuff. But
Oh, yeah.
I've got two rookies that I want to talk about. The first one is Johnny Sins.
The one that I was just hinting towards.
I have something on Sins here, so I'll get that up. So 157k defender midfielder. He's been training in the midfield group all pre-season, which is for Supercoach at 157k. That is what we want to hear. He's guess what, Jack? He's a left footer on the halfback usually. Left footer. And it's a big kick. Like we're talking Daniel Rich sort of range, and he's got speed. He's a very very fast human being. So looks like he might get that wing or halfback role. It's just a wait and see because I'm sort of hearing stuff that he's not tracking for round one. He might just miss out, or he might just make the squad, which means he's probably first out if he doesn't perform. So just be wary of that price. And also, he's known to ping a hammy. So there's going to be injuries at some stage, you'd think, depending on his role. So that's just something to look out for. If named round one, I don't see a reason not to pick him. It just depends on your structure.
I've got one thing.
Yep.
I heard it from Tom Jonas himself, my mate.
Yep.
He said if John plays, he'll be in the back line.
Yep.
He goes, what we do with our young fellas is they play, so like Sins, for example, he's a backman midfielder. First couple of years he'll be in the back line, then they'll start to bring him into the midfield.
Yep.
So he's going to be, he will be in the back line if he plays. He won't play midfield.
Yeah, I mean, I can see him going in, well, not going into midfield, but going on a wing, possibly just because of his run. But as long as he's running off halfback, that's what we want. So
yeah.
I'll move on to the next rookie, Sam Skinner, defender forward, 123k, ex-Lion. So he's played games for the Lions as a interceptor. That I guess
and a forward.
That third tall in defence. So gets those marks. Been in the system for a few years now. At I guess a mature age. Definitely someone I'm looking to put in if he's named round one. So he's just re-entered my side because that good defender forward flexibility. So all reports on pre-season is fine. He keeps impressing, keeps playing his role. So it's looking really good. It's just what does Hinkley do? He's one of those coaches that could do anything. So
yeah, well, that's the thing I was going to say. Where's he been training? Because he was always a forward at Brisbane until, funny enough, against Richmond, he had a shot in the goal square. He decided to play on and he didn't score.
Yeah, so
now Richmond lost that game, but after that game, Fagan instantly chucked him into the back line like, "No, you're not playing forward." So it's where if he plays as a forward, he won't score well. If he plays as a defender, he'll probably score a bit better.
Yeah, I think he's matured a bit from them. So if you name round one, I prefer him over Sin because they'll score roughly the same and he's 30k cheaper. And that's all for the defenders. So we'll move to the mids, where we have the most non-elite Brownlow medalists we have ever seen in Ollie Wines.
Excuse you.
Hey,
I'm just saying. There's Shane Woden.
No, I'm just saying, champion data. Don't think this guy's elite.
Oh yeah.
Even though he won the Brownlow, so champion data. It's a great list.
And Nick Natanui was the best player for the season.
Yep. So he averaged 112 last season. At 612k mid only. Ollie Wines, I don't see improving on that average. If you think about it, won a Brownlow. That's not many people go above that. Like, I'm not exactly sure what he averaged, but for him to win another Brownlow, he's got to go above that.
I'm pretty sure he
I
averaged
think.
in the 30s.
Yeah, so 112, is that something that you want to pay for? That's his 600k. I'd probably say no. You can get much better options who are going to score around 120.
He's last 3 games last year, he got over 150 in all of them.
Yeah, but
and I know this because he was my captain unexpectedly, and he was scoring 300, 400 points for me, and won me the minor premiership.
Yeah, so I think you can get him cheaper during the season.
He's a look at halfway through.
He is going to drop in price. I reckon we could get him even around that 550k, possibly. I probably wouldn't put him in just because I don't see him going above that 112. But he could prove me wrong and do that. So it's up to you. Could be a good pod, but I don't see him going much better than that. We'll go Travis Boak next at 578k as a midfielder. He's up there with Dave Mundy for blokes that get old, but it doesn't matter. They still rack up the pill. They can still run. They can still do it all. 106k, 106 average. I think we've seen him play a lot more forward this year. Just to give
which is
Butters,
a good thing.
Your Rosie, even Willem Drew, give them more opportunities through that midfield. I still think he can average 100, but might be one to get that DPP status. So keep a lookout. But I think just because of his age, they're gonna have to start blood their youth through there. So I think I see him taking a step back this year. So I wouldn't select him at 578k. You can save 45k and get Neil. So why not do that?
Yeah, well, if he gets that DPP, he's a pick in the forward line.
Yeah. And
it's just the wait and see.
The only rookie in the midfield is Jackson Mead, 123k midfielder. He's been in the system for a few years now. I think 2 or 3. I don't exactly remember, but I'm pretty sure it's about 2. They talked this guy up as soon as they drafted him. Very talented young guy who can get the ball and use it, which is what we want. We don't want these rookies getting the ball and then just butchering the pill like Trelaw does. So this guy can use it. He's got a very smart footy brain. So is it time for them to give Jackson Mead a go? I hope so. But who knows? It's Hinkley. I don't see him playing Skinner, Sin, and Mead round 1. So definitely one to look out for your bench. But just wait and see what Hinkley does. We'll move to the rucks now. The only one I see being of any relevance is Sam Hayes at 123k. Ruck only. This guy is an absolute monster. Do I have, or is it the other? No, it's the other one. So, Sorry, just getting there. So Sam Hayes, last season, I think it was in the Sandful. I don't remember what league it was in, but this bloke absolutely dominated, and Port are very happy with the fact that they've landed him. From all reports, mark, kick, hit out, really good tap ruck, which is good to get those hit outs to an advantage, and with the midfield that they have, he can score a lot of points. I've got him at R3 at the moment. The only problem is Scott Lysett would be the number one ruck in that team. But if we go off last year with Peter Laddams, he was the second ruck and he played forward. So Sam Hayes could maybe start up forward and then go into the ruck, and we might get a few goals from him here and there. And if he does his thing in the ruck and around the ground, he could be a great scorer. So 17% of our teams right now. If you're not going Bruce at that R3, I think Sam Hayes is a great R3 to have. So now I'll go to Zach Butters, 443k forward, average 81.5. Is touted for midfield time again this year. We saw last year he came out of the gates firing 100 after 100 after 100 and scored, I think, 99 in the first half the game where he got injured. So he was on track for almost 200 there. As I said, with Boak possibly playing more forward time, I see this kid going in, and if he can stay healthy, he's going to smash out some big scores. I've had him in my squad all pre-season, but in the last couple of weeks, he's moved out just because of those injuries. 22% of sides could be a great pickup early if he fires. It's just what's going to happen with those injuries. So definitely a great starting selection. Next, I'll go Connor Rosie at 400k. The reason I've brought him up is because he's been training in the midfield all pre-season, and similar to Butters, he's expected to play through the midfield this season. Similar to Butters again, they're both very talented young guys in their third season, I think. Maybe their fourth.
Third.
Both potential breakouts this season for us. I'd probably pay the extra 40k for Butters over Rosie, but Rosie's...
If you don't have the 40k, Rosie's a great pick.
Yeah, and he's shown that he can mark the ball above head and kick goals. It's just what can he do in that midfield, and how much time does he actually get in that midfield. So I'd prefer Butters, but if you're feeling risky in 2% of sides, you got Rosie. Let's see. Next. I don't think there's much mid prices. Yep. So I've gone through everyone I really wanted to speak about. I wasn't sure if I had a rookie down in my notes on the next page, but we've already spoken about Sam Skinner. So easy. Jack, you can start your 5-hour podcast on the Tigers.
Yeah, great club. I have us finishing 7th.
Okay.
I think we'll make finals. I don't think we'll go the whole way. Doing a me, going to start with the back line, and the first name I think everyone's expecting is Jaden Short. He's at 535k, quick left back, half-backer, massive boot, can hit a target, averaged 98.2 last season. I can't see him pushing that up into the hundreds.
Yep.
My reasons are he had a whole season last year with backline dead. So, like, he was the main player down there when it comes to using the ball, and he only averaged, only averaged 98. You got Grimes, Vloshun, I would say Bolter, but he's not playing there this season. You got Robbie Tarrant. You got all the Nathan Broad. You got all these names coming back in. Broad will take some kick-outs. Vloshun will take some kick-outs. Grimes will take some kick-outs. So they all won't be Jaden Short like they were last season. That's a loss of Supercoach points. And I can't see him getting more of the ball than he did last season to counter it and keep his points going up, I guess you'd say it.
Yep.
And we saw last season when he'd have his shots from outside 50, he was very inaccurate. So I can see him still averaging 90, 95. He's a good option. I wouldn't say he's a great option. And at 535k, you got Ridley around the same price, so you know he's going to score that, if not more.
Well, actually, saying on that, where was it? So there was a match sim yesterday for Essendon, and Ridley had a lack of kickouts, which is interesting. So just
a lack of,
yeah. He wasn't taking many, so maybe short. Who knows?
I just don't think he's going to push it up to the 100 like a lot of people think. That's all.
Yeah.
Next player, we've spoken about him in every podcast. Daniel Rioli, 336k, in my team at the start, still in my team, playing off the halfback flank. His average is 61. I can see going 90 plus.
Okay.
I think if you like a mid-pricer, I think he's the one to go for. If it's not, I'd say more defense, but you could chuck him forward as well. Pretty much all I have to say on Daniel Rioli, really. We've spoken about him heaps, you know.
Yeah,
he's a good selection, an interesting one.
So, yesterday, again, on the articles, he has been training all pre-season
in the back line.
In the back line, so he's looking good for that role. So, sneaky pod at that price, very risky though.
Oh, who doesn't love a risky pick? My next pick, an interesting one. Last couple of days, he's popped up like, hello, I am here. Josh Gibcus, 171k rookie, very talented in defense and looks set to play round one.
You did tell me about this the other morning.
Noah Bolter has been training in the forward line. Him, Lynch, Rewald are going to be a three-man forward line, which will be interesting to see how that works out. Richmond last year tried it with Lynch, Rewald, and Coleman Jones, which are three slow, tanky key forwards. Chuck an athletic guy in that mix. How is that going to improve? But we're not talking about Noah Bolter. We're talking about Josh Gibcus. He's capable of playing in the ruck and he's capable of playing forward. He's done it in the last couple of years. The thing about Josh Gibcus, amazing intercept mark, and he doesn't just get them in defense. He gets them around that 50-meter to wing spot in attack, and he gets the inside 50s as well, which is more points. He's at 171k, so you're paying like the primo of defenders, really. But he's someone, if you don't know who to go, you need someone who's going to play round one and will score around that 60-70 mark. I think Josh Gibcus is a great pick.
So you said he can play ruck, okay? At Richmond, yes. Sean Grigg played ruck. That's not.
Yeah, no.
Anyone can play ruck at Richmond. apparently.
It's just he did it in junior level.
Yeah.
He went in, but yes, we did have Marlon Pickett in the ruck last season, and yes, that was probably the best he played.
The only thing I can say with Gibkiss is that at 170k,
that's the primo of the defense rookies.
Yeah, he's too expensive. Like you go down 20k and you've got Kemp, Johnny Sins, and then but below that you have Chester at 148, which I'll get to a bit later, and then 123k guys that can score the exact same. Like if you think Charlie Dean's looking good for round one at 102k, if he scores 60 to 70, similar to Gibkiss, would you rather keep that 70k and upgrade somewhere else if you're going to get the same output? That's my
like I said,
only thing on Gibkiss.
Like I said, if it's you're stuck, you need someone who's gonna play. He's a good pick.
Yeah,
he will score. Like I don't see him scoring under 50 at all.
Yeah.
But yeah, my next pick. Remember in the first podcast, anyone who could take Dan Rioli's spot?
Yep.
This is the one man, Tom Brown.
Oh, okay.
He's 135k. Most likely won't play, but he's the one fighting with Rioli for that spot.
Uh-huh.
If there's an injury to a short, Rioli, broad, one of those types, he's probably the first man in. He's a medium-sized defender. He's quick. He's got a good boot on him. People are excited about him. He's probably won't play, but he's the one fighting with Rioli for his spot.
Yeah, I've heard his name come up a fair bit. He's definitely in that selection. But is he going to be the first guy out if he has a bad game?
Yeah. My next player, which first of all, congratulations, the new captain, Toby Nankervis. I spoke about him in the past.
Quickly, Jack.
Yeah.
You're not backing any mid primos for Richmond this year?
Mids, no.
No. That's fair. All right.
They're gonna get injured.
Yeah. Back to the tank.
So we spoke about him alongside Oscar McInerney in the past, looking for that cheaper ruck around is 509k. You need someone around that mark that's going to score 90 plus. He's definitely capable of doing that. If he doesn't get injured, which I don't think he's had a season at Richmond where he's been healthy for the whole year. If he can be healthy for the year, he can easily average 105 plus with the way he plays. The only problem is he going to stay healthy?
Yeah. Nank's always been prone to an injury. You saw that at Sydney early in his career. A lot younger than what I first thought. You told me about that.
He's in his prime, starting his prime.
I think just a draft selection for the Nank, but big ups for co-captain.
Yeah. My next pick, Dustin Martin, forward, 503k. Been training in the midfield.
Uh-huh.
And Damien Hardwick has said he's going to go back to playing majority field.
Yeah.
At 503k, Dustin Martin in the midfield, he's easily going to average 105 plus.
Easily. You reckon?
Easily. He's going to get his touches. He's going to kick his goals. I can just see him going back. He's not going to win the Brownlow or, be up there with that. But he can. I can see him going back towards that form and just dominating the other team. So I think at 503K, a forward who you know is going to play guaranteed majority mid, I think it's a very good selection.
So you reckon a bit of don't argue?
A bit of what?
Don't argue, the big stiff arm.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
Now, I told you I've got one player for each team that probably isn't a pick, but could be a sneaky depending on their roles.
Yep.
My one for Richmond is Jack Ross. I spoke to you about him on Messenger.
Yep.
He's 295K. If he gets his inside mid roll, which I'm hoping for, he won't because Dusty's going back in there, so he's fucked. But if he gets that inside mid roll, we saw it against Hawthorn's fully fit midfield of Mitchell, Wingard, O'Meara, which is a very good midfield, by the way. He had 25 touches and like 130 Supercoach or 120 Supercoach.
Yeah.
If he plays as an inside mid, he can easily average 90 plus. Will he? I don't think so. It's something to look out for. If he's playing inside mid early on and he's, going very well, at 295K, he's a moneymaker. And if he's going better than what I think, he's an M8 spot.
Yep. Okay.
So
yeah.
I think he's a sneaky choice if he gets that role. If he doesn't get the role, he'll still be that 40 to 50 averaging player, and it's what the fuck are you talking about, mate?
What are you talking about? And so that's all.
That's all I've got on Richmond.
Cool. That was a lot quicker than what I thought it was going to be.
Look, I could have mentioned random names sort of just for the fun of it, but got to be serious.
All right, so Jack, I'm going to move on to the Saints, who I have finishing 12th. I went through their back line and I'm going through it now to try and find someone to talk about, and I don't see anyone.
I've got a sneaky.
If it's Brad Hill, I'm not talking about him.
No.
Okay.
I tried it last year. He was very inconsistent, but he did do well before he got a broken jaw.
Is that Hunter Clark?
That's Hunter Clark, yeah. He's a sneaky. If he gets that midfield role again, he can easily go 90 plus, but that's about it for the defenders. He's probably the only one you could talk about.
Yeah, I'll probably talk about Wanganeen Millera, defensive mid at 162K. He's really the only rookie out of St Kilda that's in Supercoach at the moment that you'll look at. Very exciting, quick player, good ball use, can go onto the wing because he's got that good boot and that pace on him. He's really the only St Kilda rookie that looks like he's going, to push for a selection. So at 162K, I think it's similar to Gibkiss, where you can get someone who can score the same for a lot cheaper. So would probably skip the whole St Kilda defence.
I think he kicked a goal and matched him yesterday.
Oh, there you go.
I think he kicked the goal and matched him yesterday.
Yeah.
So I think he's playing wing, like training there.
Yeah, it'll be like a wing halfback sort of role.
Yeah.
We'll move on to the midfield. You got Jack Steele, who I think is a must-have this season. Does it all.
He has been the last couple.
Yeah. Gets the ball, can kick it, can mark it. He averaged 126th last season at 685K in 47% of sides as well. He is a must-have. He scores a lot of his points from tackles as well, which for a guy that can get 25 plus any night pushes forward, can kick a snag, and tackles.
I was going to say he does kick goals.
Yeah, with those games where he gets 20 disposals, but he gets 10 tackles, so his points don't really change. And if he has one of those monster games where he gets 30 plus, kicks a goal, and 10 tackles, you look at that 160 plus. I think he is the must-have, more of a must-have than Jack Macrae, I think. So get Steele in.
Just one thing. Do you think Steele could drop in price? Because a lot of people have been saying not going to start Macrae, Steele, and Cook because they're going to go get them for cheaper.
I think you won't get Steele much cheaper than what he is at the moment. At worst, he goes to 620K, but he's not going to go under 600 at all. He's too consistent of a scorer, and as I said, with those tackles, it's a lot easier to keep an average. Where I think Took can't get much better, and
there's no way Macrae can get better. He's already the bloody. I think he's the best midfielder in the comp.
Yeah, he's super consistent. Broke the record for disposals last year. He always finds it. So I can see them dropping all three dropping a little bit. Same with Oliver, but unless they get injured, it's not going to change too much. So we'll move it into the rucks. 536K. Rowan Marshall averaged 98 last season. A lot of foot injuries. I think it was a syndesmosis or something which had him in and out of the side with that one injury. Seems to be going well at the moment. Probably not a starter, I would say, and definitely someone who can get that DPP status and go forward. So I think Marshall is a wait for now, and if he gets that forward status, then I'd jump on him then at around 500K.
I was about to say, if he gets that forward status, he's a legitimate option.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
At Rucks, he's at that 535. You could go cheaper for the McInerney name, or you could just go for a top four. It's very awkward.
Yeah. All right, we'll move on to the forward line.
Max King.
Looking through again, the only one I see of any relevance is
that Jack Paris guy. Is that who you were talking about before at 102K that's not in yet?
No.
Is that someone else?
Yeah, I'll get to him in 2 seconds. It's just after your boy that you've been eyeing off, Jade Gresham at 299K as a mid-forward option. He's in 24% of sides. Coming off an Achilles last year, I'm pretty sure.
Back.
I think I might have started with Achilles and then might have gone into the back because what I'm reading here, which I'll read out now. Last 2 years hasn't had any luck with injuries. At his best, a clear game changer. His Achilles is better, and his professionalism has also risen to a new level. Currently in the best shape he's ever been in, and his running has improved. So there might have been a back, but there was also an Achilles, and they might have come hand in hand because that usually happens. An excitement machine when he's fit and ready to go. We've all seen him play. We all know what he can do. He's been training with the midfield, so his Achilles hasn't stopped him all pre-season. So at 299K, I think you can get better options at a bit cheaper with Cornelio and
last season, the game before he got injured, he did score 130. Okay, so he can drop that like it's nothing. So I don't see Rayner, Curnow dropping the 130 bombs, and Canelio maybe because he's playing mid. But, with Rayner, Curnow, they're probably going to be more consistent.
Yeah. For my team personally, I've got 40k left in the bank. So if a Canelio or a Rayner go down before round 1, I can easily trade up to Gresham.
Yeah.
But I think at his price, it's probably better off going a Canelio or Rayner. But that's just me personally. It's an extra 20k on Rayner. So
the budget.
Yeah, it's up to your teams and how you feel about Gresham, and if you think he can stay fit. He's in 24% of the sides at the moment, so if you pick him and he doesn't do well, it's not going to be too hurtful, but it still might sting a little bit. So we'll move on to the last guy who isn't in Supercoach at the moment because he hasn't actually signed, but apparently he's going to sign very soon. That's Jack Hayes. Should be 102k ruck forward. I've been speaking to you, Jack, about this guy for a while.
Yes.
And I don't have too much on him. All I know is he dominated the ruck, dominated hit outs, gets the ball, and has good kicking skills. I do have a photo here that the Phantom, if you don't know the Phantom, he's all over everything Supercoach, gets in the Herald Sun and everything like that. He tweeted a couple of weeks ago, Jack Hayes in the Sandful last year, his Supercoach scores. So you ready, Jack?
Yep.
And this is including finals. Starts off with a cheeky 177. Then goes 85, 124, 156, 89, 200, 99, 104, 163, 91, 125, 213, 61, 90, 86, 114, 107, 210, 122, and 153.
Are you talking about Tom Rockcliffe?
Jack Hayes, when he signs for St Kilda and is put in this game, he goes on your forward line bench. 102k. You can have Comben as your R3. You can have Sam Hayes, that I spoke about just before, at your R3. And if they don't play, or unnamed round 1, you trade him down to 102k or 123k ruck forward. You switch Hayes in, and he's your cover if Darcy goes down. Or even better, you get him in and you put him as your F6. You piss off Elijah Hollands onto the bench. You put Jack Hayes in at your F6. Leave.
Elijah Hollands is already on my bench.
Leave. Make 300k. Sell down to him. There's your money around buy time. Get the kid in.
With the Saints, did you see who they're signing as the Nick Caulfield replacement for the year?
There's a few guys fighting for it.
There's a couple, but the leader to get the spot is Patrick Naish.
Yes, it was Nation, someone else that are leaning towards that. So
both not super coach options, but Patrick Naish, get around him, great bloke.
Yeah, no, I agree, and that might mean Wanganang Miller might get a go. You never know.
Yeah.
But that's all I have on the Saints. So, Jack, you want to move on to the Swannies?
Yeah, I just realised I didn't write down where I think they're going to finish, but I had them at 6. I didn't put it down, but at 6.
Yep.
And my first player, Lloyd. And all I've got written down and all I'm going to say is the must-have defender. If you don't have him in, you're crazy. That is all.
Yep.
Yep,
no, I agree. Someone who can average 120 plus in your back line is very rare, so get him in.
My second player, he's not going to play round one. It looks like he's out for round one now. Callum Mills.
Yep.
612K. Before I even knew about his injury, I was avoiding anyways. Not because he's not talented, but at 612K, if you're going for someone around there, I'd prefer Ollie Wines. Okay. But in saying that, you got Mitchell, Lyons, all these players, Neil, who are better options around that price anyway. So he's not playing round one, so definitely don't start him. But I would have avoided him anyways. But he can be a cheeky pod.
Yeah, I think he's a massive avoid. Just because that injury, so definitely mid-year pick up, I think.
My next player,
and Jack, 2 seconds. Have you done a Sydney review and haven't mentioned Will Gould, the Supercoach King?
Yeah, no, look, I just don't think he's playing. I wanted to write him down, but it's just like, he's not playing.
Fair.
If he does, get around him, get him in. 123K, but I just don't think he's playing.
Yep.
My next player, Dylan Stevens. I think we spoke about him previously.
I'm big on Stevens at the moment.
167K mid, impressing a lot in preseason. Horse is loving him. He's put on the muscle, and the horse is loving that as well. And he's putting his name up for round one. That's all I really have. I know the one thing Horse said was he needs to put on muscle to play more, and that's what he's done that, and he's still impressing even with the extra muscle weight.
Yep.
So he's looking really good to play round one, especially with Mills' injury now as well.
I do have, so he has improved his fitness, and he's been killing the match sim all season. So the reason people are all want him is because Dawson left and there's a spot on that wing, and he's a good kick and he's fast. And with what I just said, he's improved all of that. That fitness, that endurance. So he's looking really good with Meals out. Definitely. That helps his chances even more, and I think he's a great M8 option. So get him in.
My next player, the surprise packet of 2021, came out of fucking nowhere and took the piss. It is the Hickey himself.
Not Tom.
He averaged 103 out of nowhere, like I said. Here's my problem with him.
He looks like a llama.
What?
He looks like a llama.
I mean, he looks like a homeless llama. But apart from that, I don't think he's an option. 562K, and it's only 4K more for Grundy. Is it Grundy? It's Grundy.
It is.
So, draft selection, great pickup. I think he's going to stay around there as the Sydney number one ruck. Laddams will probably go in a bit and play majority forward like a Port. I just don't think Hickey's going to be that 110 plus that we're looking for at that price.
I agree.
My next player, I'm saying it now, lock him in. If you don't, you're going to regret it. The blonde assassin himself, Isaac Heaney.
Big Isaac.
454K, And we've been told that he's in the midfield.
Yep.
He's in the midfield. It's locked. He's in there like swimwear.
You can't laugh at
I think he's a must-have. That was a good one. I'm proud of it. Just get him in. 100 plus this season in the forward line. He will be averaging. Let's just hope he doesn't get injured.
Yeah, that's a big thing on Heaney. Gets all these just ankle niggles and stuff like that. Will definitely still play time forward, but he can mark, he can kick. He's very good overhead, but when he gets into that midfield and starts to get that pill, if there's no niggles from now to round one, he's not leaving my side. I've picked him over Butters. You just got to have him. But saying that, he has burnt thousands and thousands of super coaches over the last 3 years because he was supposed to break out. He just keeps getting injured. So just be wary that you might have to trade him out at some stage. But I say 105 plus easy in our forward line.
Pissed me off last season as well. But it was because he was getting scores from 50s and then he was going to 110. Yeah. It was a weird one, but with guaranteed midfield, I can see him being really more consistent. Yeah. My next player, I've mentioned him because he had a jump from the last few years. With the new DPP, probably wouldn't select him.
Uh-huh.
It's Buddy Franklin. He averaged 84.9 last season and didn't miss with injury. He missed games as a rest, but he didn't miss due to injury. And when he played, he was taking the piss. I don't care what anyone says. He was like the Franklin of old. Not as quick, probably not as fit, but he was still that. You can't stop him on the lead. He's kicking goals for fun. I can see him getting 1,000 goals in round one against Hawthorn.
He needs, 6 goals for 1,000?
6.
Yeah, so what I see happening is he kicks 6 and then he mic drops and goes retire.
Well, did you hear?
The bird is word.
Alistair Clarkson. Apparently, according to Tom Rockcliffe, my mate, Alistair Clarkson has a club that he will be coaching next season. He's already spoken to some of the biggest free agents, and the first person he called up was Buddy and said, I'll give you the big bucks to come back with me and finish your career with me. So Franklin probably could have a couple of years left if he doesn't have any more serious injuries. But back to the Supercoach side of it, I can see him averaging that 85 to 95 range. The new DPP, he's not an option, but if they didn't bring it in, he would have been a very good pod choice.
Yep. Is that all you had?
No, I've got one more and then my interesting pick.
Yep.
Again, I don't think he's an option at his price, but it's Paddy McCartan, 157K.
Yep.
I think that's just a little too much for him.
Yeah, I think we should have got him at least 123K. Hasn't played for 3 years.
I was going to say 117 max.
Yeah.
Concussions, played in the VFL last year, bang, 157K. You're not getting in.
I wasn't happy with that because I had a 102K rookie in the forward line ready to chuck him in at 157K. I was like, yeah, that's not going to happen. So I had to change my whole plans up.
It's just someone who I thought I should bring up.
Yeah.
My interesting pick for the year for the Sydney Swans. All years we've seen him play more forward. And I think he will again this year, and I think he'll get that forward dual position player status.
Uh-huh.
And his name's Luke Parker.
Yep.
He averaged, I think it was 105 or 108 last year at 591K. If he gets that forward DPP, I think he is must-have forward. If he's in the midfield, he's not an option because, like, if he doesn't get that DPP and you have to put him in the midfield, he's not an option because he's not going to score 110 plus. You know, he's like you said with Boak and stuff. He's bloody old and he's still cutting up for fun.
Isn't he only like 29 or something?
Is he?
Yeah, I think he's younger.
I think he's around 32. I will stat check this, but I think he's getting at that age.
29.
29. Well, yeah, okay, yeah, but you know what I mean? He's been around for fucking years.
I think because he's been such a good, consistent player that you just think he's old, but 29, so probably still has two good years in him.
Yeah, I think if he gets that forward DPP, get him in. He's healthy. He gets midfield minutes. He gets the ball. He kicks goals for fun. With Heaney going into the midfield, you got Dylan Stevens and all this. I can say he's the one that slides out.
Yep.
Because I don't think he'll take Josh Kennedy out of the midfield. I'm sorry. I just don't think he will.
He is old, so he might go to a...
He is old, but I don't see another spot you can play Josh Kennedy.
Yeah.
So he's my surprising pick. If he gets that forward DPP, lock him in now. Or don't lock him in your teams, but lock him in as a upgrade choice in that forward line if he does get it. I think it would be a great, interesting choice.
Nice. All right, so I'll go to West Coast. I've got them finishing 11th. The most irrelevant team in Supercoach, I think, this year. So what I'm going to do, Jack, is I'm going to go through every player and tell you what I think. Okay?
Every single West Coast player.
It'll be short and sharp, except for those that mean something. Okay? So we'll start in defence. Shannon Hearn, old. McGovern, injuries. Witherden, Hearn. Barras, nah. Duggan, burnt me. Rotham, who the fuck is that guy? Harry Edwards, doesn't he play cricket? Petrescu Seaton, played for Carlton. Tom Cole, no thanks. Nelson.
Wait, did you just say Petrescu Seaton, Carlton?
Yep. Nelson, no. Luke Foley, is that Richmond's Foley's brother? Chesser. All right, I'm going to stop on Chesser. Okay. 148K defender mid. You right there, mate?
Fresky saved the Carlton. Continue.
Chesser. One of a few guys that are actually interesting in this West Coast side. 148K defender mid in 10% of sides. Injury prone, but is very good. Dashing, kicking, can take a mark. He's been doing really well in match sim. He's been playing through the midfield in match sim. It's looking really promising. That doesn't lock in round one at all. He's still hit and miss. So just keep an eye on him, and if he's staying round one, he's an option. But he's in my side at the moment as a placeholder. But I probably don't see him playing round one. Rhett Bazzo, had never heard of him. All right, so we'll go to the midfield. Give me 2 seconds. Jack Redden, supposed to break out 7 years ago. Gaff, Punch Brayshaw. Yo, injured. Kelly, first and second year specialist. Dom Sheed, grand final. Luke Shuey. Luke Shuey, hamstrings. Duggan, cut his mallet. Luke Edwards, is that brother of the guy that plays cricket? Xavier O'Neill, white. Zane True. Haven't heard of him. Isaiah Winder. What? Who? Nah. Brady Ho. He's a hoe.
You're a hoe.
And at 117K, Greg Clark. I reckon this guy is a lock if named round one. Mature age. Absolutely dominating that midfield. All preseason. We've Shuey out. We've Duggan out. Just put him in. Their midfield is as shit as it can be anyway. They need someone new who knows actually how to play football. Get Greg Clark in. That's all I'm going to say.
Can I just say on the midfielders?
Yep.
I brought him up before, and at his price, if he's healthy and he can stay healthy, Elliot Yeo is probably the best option to pick at West Coast.
No, Jack.
He will go back to that 100 plus, but he's probably going to get injured.
The best option is Greg Clark. Let's be honest.
Nah, mate, Elliot Yeo.
All right.
We know what Elliot Yeo can produce.
Rucks, Nick Nat, Palm Tree. No, there's actually a bit more Nick Nat. Average 115 last season. I got him in when Grundy went down with that neck injury, and he absolutely dominated the second half of the season for me. I don't see him being an option because his time on ground is always low, even though he
it's 50% now. But if he's getting that with 50%, that's pretty fucking good.
Yeah.
Only problem is around Grundy's price, and it's Grundy.
He has the highest score per minute than anyone else in Supercoach, but he just doesn't get the time on ground. So it's a no. Bailey J. Williams, 218K ruck forward. I've heard he's...
Low job Williams.
Yep. I've heard he's going to play forward and in the ruck this season. And everyone's talking him up, but pass. Callum Jameson, never heard of you. Jack Williams, is that brother of BJ? Don't know. Nah. All right, forward line. Jack Darling, COVID. Cripps, the better Cripps. Kennedy.
Cripps is injured.
Yep, he's injured, and the better Cripps still. Kennedy, old. Oscar Allen, injured, couple years. Liam Ryan, no thanks. Takes a specky, that's about it. Jack Waterman, struggles to get a game. Jermaine Jones, came from Geelong, still struggling to get a game. Zach Langdon, injuries. Petruccelli, fast. Connor West, 249K. He's fighting Clark in the midfield for a spot. He's been dominating also. He's a forward only. And if he gets that midfield time, could be a solid option, but at 249K, I think we have better options in our forward line. Willie Rioli, drugs. And that's all we have for West Coast. So,
do you know what would have been pretty funny with the forward lines?
I'm
not sure if you remember, but it would have been funny, and I would have laughed at it if you said under 12's grand final. I'm not sure if you remember when played Epping, he got best on ground day one.
Yeah.
It hurt. And it would have been funny if you just said that, like, under 12's grand final, like, yeah, stuff you, Jack.
So just to recap, Chesser, maybe. Greg Clark, get in. Connor West, watch, but there's better options.
Nick Nat, if you want a pod.
Yeah, but time on ground. So,
yeah.
Jack, you want to finish off with the Bulldogs?
Oh, my God, I do. I have them finishing first.
Okay.
I think they're going to be top. My first player, I think you brought him in or you started him. I'm not too sure. Bailey Dale. He averaged 95.2 last season, playing in a wing halfback role. At 518K, it's an awkward price. I think you can get better players around that price. So I probably won't go him. Well, I won't go him, but if you're thinking about him, I'd look at other options around that price. And that includes this man that I'll go into next after you speak.
So I got Dale at the end of last season just because he had that new role, taking kick-outs, and last year was just injuries everywhere. So I got him, but for 8K less you can get. That's where you say his name, Jack.
Caleb Daniel.
Thank you.
Averaged 93.3, but at the end of the season, he was very inconsistent and he was thrown around everywhere. I think he played forward pocket for a couple of weeks. It was very strange. If Caleb Daniel goes back to his backline role this year, which I'm hoping the Bev does, he's 510K. Going to be hitting that 100 mark in average. Interesting pick. I think 10% of people have him and are expecting it. I'm scared with how Beveridge played him at the end of last season, so I'm going to wait and see if he's playing that backline role consistently and then bring him in.
Yep.
I'm not sure about you, but...
Daniel is a no just at the moment, but someone I'll probably look to upgrade if he does well.
And my next player is Buku Kamis. That is all.
Fair.
He's not going to play. I love him. He's a great talent.
Jack, I've got some news for you, mate.
Please tell me. I need to know my Buku Kamis news.
So Bevo's come out and said he likes the way he's reading the ball and getting those intercept marks in pre-season. So not locking him in, but he could look to get a few more games if he keeps up what he's doing. And at 123K, if he gets a string of games at that third tall interceptor, could actually be an option for once.
That's enough for me. He's in. My next player must have start him, lock him in, Jack McRae.
Yep.
He's 699K, which I think is the most ever starting price.
Nah, didn't go on start over 700K.
I'm not too sure, but it's at least one of the highest starting ever.
Yep.
And I still think he's just a lock, and that's all I need to say. Like I said before, I think he's the best midfielder in the comp.
Yeah. I don't think this year, but I think maybe next year or the year before we might start to see a decrease as he's getting older. I still think I see him going 125, but he could even push 130 depending on his role. So must start. That's all you can say.
Next player is Marcus Bontempelli, 651K, averaged 119.7. At that price, I think there's better options to go for starting.
Yep.
Tom Mitchell and Lions are cheaper and will average the same as Bontempelli, I reckon.
Yep.
12% of people have the Bont. That's a lot of people for that price, especially when you can go 30K more and have McRae, Steele, go 20K more, you got Took Miller. It's an awkward price. He's a great player. He's going to score that 119, 120 consistently. I think he'll drop in price. I think he's an upgrade option, not a start.
Okay. Jack, I'm reading something here. I'm pretty sure Gary Ablett started the season at 740K. So
Gary Ablett?
Yep. And
fucking hell.
And Pendle's one season started at 700K, so McRae's not as good as Pendle's.
Yeah, well, I didn't go in too much in who was the most. I'm just like 699K. It's got to be the highest or one of.
Yeah, it's definitely up there with the top 5. Not as good as Pendles, though. All right, move on.
My next pick is...
wait. That was Bont, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, so just quickly on Bont. In the interview, he came out and said he's not sure what his balance of mid and forward will be this year. That hasn't been decided. So we could get him as a forward DPP, but that's unclear right now. So don't plan for Bont being forward because he doesn't know.
My next pick is the safest, even if he gets injured, I guess, because of how many people have him. It's Josh Dunkley. 558.
Is this as a midfield option or a forward option?
Forward.
Yep. Cool.
558K, most expensive forward. Averaged 102.5. I can see him scoring that or more consistently. Like I said, my worry is his injuries. He's been injured the past couple of years. I think he's had an injury. But most people have him, so I think it's a safe option anyway because most people will have to trade him out. And with those forwards, the only other option at that like top end, I think, is Mitch Duncan, who is also going to get injured. So it's like, would you go someone who has less people who will score the same, if not a bit more, but get injured and miss? Or would you go Dunkley, and if he gets injured and misses, you're like everyone else?
Yeah. It'll definitely hurt more if you don't pick him and he goes off, because then you're already over 50% behind of the competition.
I think it's like 55% or something like that, yeah.
Yeah, and if it goes the other way, you do start him and he does get injured, well, then you're at the same point as 50% of the competition, so must have.
My next one is an interesting one. Forward DPP, which I certainly did not expect.
Yep.
I'm not sure if you did or not as well. Adam Treloar.
Yep.
488K, I think he is.
Yep.
He's someone who, at the Bulldogs last year, before he did his hamstring for the 500th time, looked a completely different player from when he was at Collingwood.
Yep.
He was ball magnet like at Collingwood, but he was hitting his targets and his Supercoach points were rising because his touches weren't just touches, they were effective touches. And he was going and kicking goals on the run where at Collingwood he'd shank them.
Yep.
I think if he stays healthy, he's a great choice in the forward line.
Just to remind everyone, we are talking about a guy who pinged both hamstrings at the exact same time.
Yes, that's why I said his injuries is scary.
Yeah.
But he's a gun. He's got the potential to go nuts. And as a forward DPP, that is ridiculous.
The only thing with him, apart from his injuries, is we're not sure on his role. He was moved midfield. He was moved forward, hence the mid-forward status. It's really unclear where they're going to use him the most, and with their midfield as it is, without him, it's stacked. So if you put him into the mix, it's going to be hard.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Him in or out. But I feel like if he's not inside, he'll be on the wing for his pace, which we did see him do a bit as well. My last pick before my last interesting pick of the night, Charlie Parker, 102K. I've been hearing there's good news going on about him in pre-season that he's in contention. He's putting his name up for a spot. I know nothing about the bloke, but I'm hearing good things. And at 102K and he gets that spot, that is a pretty good bench choice.
Yeah, so I don't know much about him either. All I know is he's mature aged and Luke Beveridge likes to play these mature age guys, as we saw last year with Scott and McNeil.
And Kavara, I think 2 years ago.
Yep. So you could give, if it gives Parker a chance, he could be the next one of those guys. And if he averages 65, he's made 150K. Could be a slow burn. We're not sure. At the moment, he's in my squad, but as soon as Jack Hayes gets signed, he's going out. So
yeah, same.
You want to get to your interesting pick?
Yeah, I will, and you're probably going to be shocked by it as well.
Yep.
It's Tim English.
I just had my name over him. I was going to speak about him. Off you go.
My reasoning is he played a lot of forward last year and averaged 88. Yep. 2 years ago, we saw him as the number one ruckman, scoring, I think it was 110 plus,
105
plus,
110. Yep.
If he goes back into more midfield ruck minutes, not midfield ruck minutes as a forward DPP, I think he's a crazy selection. He'll be getting that 105 plus. He'll be one of the top forward players by the end of the year. It's just, does Beveridge see him being that key forward with Bruce and Norton mainly, and is Steph Martin still there?
He's still alive and kicking. Yep.
Yeah. So with Steph Martin, I think like if like with Luke Parker, if Tim English plays more ruck minutes, I think bring him in as an upgrade option. If he doesn't, I'd avoid. But if he gets those ruck minutes like the past, he's going to go berserk in the forward line.
Yeah. So what it comes down to is Steph Martin, even though he's bloody 40.
40 and injured every 2 weeks.
Yep. And I don't think Beveridge rates Tim English as a ruckman. For some reason, I just get that vibe. But if he does get that number one ruck spot, he can definitely average 105, possibly more. Who knows? Don't forget what he did last year or the year before when he banged out a 213 or something?
2 years ago, playing as that ruckman, he kicked like 3 goals as a ruckman, had crazy hit outs, intercept marks.
Yeah. So
he's a ridiculous talent.
He has the potential and has that, as you said, DPP. So if you have a Jack Hayes at your R3, you can swap them in and out, depending on buys and stuff like that. But I probably won't be picking him just because if he plays out forward, then he's going to have that average.
Like I said, it's a watch, and if he does play that ruckman, it's an upgrade option, not a start.
Yeah. Just one guy, another 102K midfielder, Robbie McComb, similar to Parker, mature age, impressing, could get a go, but I think Charlie Parker gets a go ahead of him. But they could both be the Scott and McNeil. So just keep an eye out for him if he gets named. So that's it, Jack.
Yeah.
Awesome. Just one more thing I want to speak about, which I found pretty funny. So, Jack, how long has GWS been in the competition for?
GWS, 7, 8 years?
It is 10 years. And guess what happened? What's today? Today's Thursday. Guess what happened 2 days ago?
There was a big sound.
The AFL finally, after 10 years, followed GWS on Twitter. It took them 10 years to notice that GWS is a team in the league. And
they've been dick riding Gold Coast and chucked GWS aside, and GWS has been the successful side, funny enough.
Yep. So GWS tweeted at AFL only took 10 years. So shout out to the AFL for being a bunch of clowns. So that'll do us for today's podcast. Hopefully these
Were you going to talk about the next coming weeks, or was that after?
Yeah. So I'm about to get that that now, Jack, and you just mucked me up, mate. All right. So
yeah, I did.
So Jack won't be on the podcast next week because I would have killed him.
Yeah.
No, so that'll do us for today's podcast. Hopefully these 3, I guess, parts of team reviews have been helpful and you actually got some good information out of it, and we've sort of helped you select a side, except for West Coast players. So next week we'll be going through our top 10 defenders for the season 2022. So what that will be is Jack will go away, pick his top 10 averaging. So 1 being the highest averaging defender, down to number 10. I'll do mine, and then we'll meet next week and we'll talk about that. The week after that, we'll be doing midfield, and then the week after that, we'll be doing ruck forwards together. Top 5 rucks and top 10 forwards. And that should give us enough time. Just before round 1, we'll do some team reviews and just any news that's out there we'll give to you guys. That's what's coming in the next few weeks. We thank you all for
another week with Jeremy Howe's name. Here we go.
Yeah. So we thank you all for listening, and don't forget, if you have any thoughts, comments, or questions, feel free to hit us up on Twitter at BreakEvensPod or in the YouTube comments at the BreakEvens. We look forward to
any concerns with my Howe obsession.
Yes. We look forward to hearing from you guys, and until next week, it's bye for now.
Catch ya.